We lose ourselves so easily in all the fret and fever of the day. In the struggle to just live, we lose sight of what we live for. Loving connections with friends and with family, sharing a meal or a song together, welcoming new life among us, finding a moment to practice our own creative power. As we approach the longest night, we pause to remember all this and more as we light this Advent candle for joy. There is a time to let go of the resistance, the steadfast march to complete the to-do list for parents and activists and for all who love this life, these people, these mountains, this sky. There is a time to rest and to trust the world will go on, filled with partners at the ready, all of us splitting shifts on this project of building and healing, tending and turning. Breath and being require their own practice, their own attention, and the heart needs time for becoming stronger after the shattering, the opening wider, the learning to love more and again. Come into this place, study stillness and joy, Know your belovedness like a memory calling out from the center of your being, connecting every little piece of everything to every one and all of us. Feel here gratitude rising and praise for this chance to begin again this day with hope. Come, let us worship together. Love is the doctrine of this church, the quest for truth is its sacrament, and service is its prayer. To dwell together in peace, to seek knowledge in freedom, to serve life in fellowship, to the end that all souls shall grow in harmony. Thus do we covenant with each and with all. A candle has been lit this morning for Terry Shea, who is in the hospital with COVID and has Alzheimer's as well. For all our joys and all our sorrows, whether we share them out loud or hold them in the quiet of our hearts, let us be with one another in a moment of silence. Please join with me in a spirit of prayer and reflection. Eternal and beloved, gracious source of all life and all love, in this time of long nights and short days, let us seek the light within by contemplating through our mind's eye the image of a candle flame. Notice how the soft, quiet, and gentle flame tamely rises from the wick. Yet just by touching a dry twig, it has the power to become a raging bonfire to light up the night. Let that candle flame be your friend this morning. Allow it to quiet your mind as you attentively watch its flickering glow. Allow it to calm your mind in a way that brings a stillness that can light up the interior of your being, that can help you find the wellspring of your feelings. Allow it to show us some inner sense of knowing that can help us notice the ways we've strayed or harmed others. To warm us, reflecting on the ways we've been touched and the ways we've opened our hearts. And inspire us through making new connections and discovering new insights. May this simple flame Touch the dry twigs that guard our hearts, allowing the power of light to penetrate our self-protection and show us the amazing potential for heat and light that resides within us. All this we pray in the names of those known and unknown, present and absent, remembered and forgotten, in the names of all the helpers of humankind. Amen.
Did you know that you are very similar to this flower? Well, it is definitely true. Let's see. You need water, right? Does this flower need water? Yep. You need food, right? Does this flower need food? Yep. Not the exact same kind of food, but the flower finds its food in the soil. You also need sun, right? Vitamin D is definitely necessary for us, and it comes from the sun. Does this flower need sun? Yep. Do you need a community to thrive? Does a flower need a community to thrive? Yep. Because it needs bees and other flowers to cross-pollinate with, and other bugs that help with pollination. So we need some similar things to what this flower needs, right? So just like we care for these beautiful flowers, we also have to care for our beautiful selves. Each religion, even Unitarian Universalism, has a different version of the golden rule they follow. One version of this golden rule is, in everything, do to others as you would do to yourself. In our Unitarian Universalism tradition, we say that we promise to have respect for the interdependent web of existence of which we all are a part. And we promise to care for that web of existence. Meaning that we are all connected to all the things and people and nature around us. And that means not only do we have to take care of what is around us, but we also have to take care of ourselves. So how do we know if we are caring for ourselves? Well, Of course, we have to do the basics, right? Like eat, drink water, sleep, get sunlight, exercise, etc. But what about today's Advent candle theme of joy? What if you discovered what brings you joy and happiness, and then you cared enough about yourself that you made time for it? Maybe you really like to draw, and that gives you joy. So make some time in your day to draw. Or maybe you really like to sing. So make some time in your day to sing. Or think of another thing that brings you joy and do that thing more. You are worth slowing down and taking the deeper breath. You are worth that which brings your soul joy. You are worth even being still and getting rest. You are worthy, my friend. You are worthy of care. Care from self and care from others. And when you are kinder and care for self, you can then let that kindness flood the world. So remember today that you are just as special as this flower. And since you are just as special, remember to care for yourself too. Drink some tea or cider. Do something that makes you filled with joy and happiness. Get rest. Be still. Take the time you need. And then afterward, let that care and kindness for yourself flow out to the community that surrounds you. And I will end with this quote. Our soul is like a soft and gentle flower. It needs to be nurtured, cared for, tended to, with sufficient sunlight, fresh air, and freedom to bloom into its most precious and beautiful form. This, my friend, is self-love. Bye.
Our reading this morning comes to us from an essay by Christine Walters Paintner, The Holy Pause. We are all suffering from time poverty in a culture that worships productivity and accomplishments. We become hostage to our calendars. In his book, Time Wars, Jeremy Rifkin says, we have surrounded ourselves with time-saving technological gadgetry only to be overwhelmed by plans that cannot be carried out, appointments that cannot be honored, schedules that cannot be fulfilled, and deadlines that cannot be met. What is the purpose of managing our days more efficiently if we don't understand the meaning of our days. Despite all of our time-saving tools and gadgets, the truth is we need less and less conscious attention to complete the tasks of our day. If anything, we are tempted to multitask, to get as much done as possible at one time, so we are never truly present to anything we are doing. Jacob Needleman, in his book Time and the Soul, writes that most of us are like what the Tibetans call hungry ghosts, not really existing, not present to life, obsessed with hurrying and doing things right away. But right away is the opposite of now, the opposite of the lived present moment in which the passing of time no longer tyrannizes us. He goes on to say that the hungry ghosts continue to starve by hungering only after a false illusion of more hours and more days, when what we really hunger for is the present moment. I recognize that I could live 1,000 years, but if I am not present to it, I will still feel the dissatisfaction and absence of meaning to the end of my days.
Breathe in, breathe out, 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 breathe in, breathe out. When I breathe in, I breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I breathe out love. When I breathe in, I breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I breathe out love. When I breathe in, I breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I breathe out love. When I breathe in, I breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I breathe out love. When I breathe in, I'll breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I'll breathe out love. When I breathe in, I'll breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I'll breathe out love. When I breathe in, I'll breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I'll breathe out love. When I breathe in, I'll breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I'll breathe out love. When I breathe in, I'll breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I'll breathe out love. When I breathe in, I breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I breathe out love. Breathe in, breathe out, 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 breathe in, breathe out.
Last week I spoke to you a little bit about my struggles with my to-do list and my spreadsheet of doom and how I can often get lost in the day-to-day tasks that the world is demanding on me, and it is a constant struggle. But this year has been a particular struggle because in March, when the pandemic arose and when we went into lockdown mode, it seems to have hit the pause button on my life a little bit, as I'm sure it hit the pause button for many of you. And all of a sudden, I found that the demands of the world started to rush in with gusto to fill in that free time gap that many of us were starting to feel. My advertising that I witnessed on Facebook and on television started to tell me what I should do with all that free time I supposedly had all of a sudden. Write that novel. Bake some sourdough bread, learn a new skill, paint a picture, create something. And while you're at it, try a new diet, sculpt your perfect body, exercise at home, go, go, go. Now, from all of this advertising, there were two distinct messages that I noticed. First and foremost, of course, buy our stuff to help you do these things. But second, and more insidious in a way, a message that said, hey, make something of yourself. You've got all this time now, don't waste it. You should produce something. Do something with the time. Don't come out of the end of this chaos with nothing to show for it. Now, I'll confess to you that in the early days of our lockdown era, when all of this still felt like a novelty and the patina of the new was still somewhat enjoyable in a strange way, I'm going to confess I bought into that call to do something, to not waste the time. I felt a call to write a screenplay, so I downloaded the free PDF on how to write your pandemic screenplay, and I got to work. And at the same time, I thought maybe I would dip my toes back into art a little bit, but with some assistance. And so I bought myself a lovely paint-by-numbers kit that I was going to make a lovely London street scene out of at the end. And I jumped into those with gusto for all of about a day or two. But it didn't take long for all of that enthusiasm to just drain away, because it turns out that living through this time of great stress and great anxiety, when so much of my mental energy is spent just feeling like I need to survive emotionally and spiritually, it turns out that work just eats away all of the creative energy. And it also turned out that my soul just wasn't being recharged by doing the things I thought it was I should be doing in those free time moments. And still today, 8-9 months later, friends, all I have to show for my initial attempts to make something of myself with a time or 5 pages of screenplay and a very sparsely covered canvas. I haven't touched them much at all. And yet, despite the awareness that the anxiety and the stress of the time saps my creative energy, the message still persists from the outside world. Write that novel, bake that bread, paint something, diet, sculpt your body, go, go, go. Produce something. Don't waste this time. And the message repeats so often, and I take it in so much, it becomes very easy to internalize it. And then rather than listening to the messages of advertisements and the demands of the world around me, I become my own enforcer of the treadmill of doing. My God, I am wasting my time. Oh no, I am wasting my life. I should really be doing this thing that I am not enjoying doing at all. And before I know it, I find that I have been shoulding myself into even more misery on top of the stress and the anxiety of the times. I found some comfort in the essay by Christine Paintner this morning. The sense that, yes, I have been falling into this trap of time poverty that she refers to. I have, when I internalize that message too much and try to bend myself to its whims, I have become one of those hungry ghosts pining after the right now that she says is the opposite of the present moment, because it is a now not tied to any sort of mindfulness. But when I can be mindful, when I can quiet the voices down and hold them at bay a bit, when I can get to that moment of stillness that I was talking about last week, that moment of stillness to be with myself, to remember who I am and who it is I'm called to be, I realize what I'm worrying about most in those moments isn't really the time that I'm supposedly wasting, not the free time that I am frittering away. But the time I'm worrying about is the time when I will be out of time. I'm turning my attention away from the present moment and focusing it on some fuzzy moment down the end when I will reach my own end. I am worrying about the uncertain timing of my own mortality. And so my assent to the world's demand to produce something is ultimately my attempt to come up with some sort of a superficial answer to the question of who I will be when I am no longer here. What will my legacy be? I am wondering deep down at the heart of it all. Will I even matter if I don't leave some great work of art or literature behind when I go? And when I grasp onto that realization, I find I can separate myself from the worry about the subject of legacy. And instead, separating myself from that worry, I can latch on to how we remember those who have passed before us. How it is that we share the pieces that we carry of one another's souls in our memorial services, for example. How we focus most of our time on remembering the wholeness of the person, offering up the pieces we carry to get a whole picture of the person. Now, when we share those memories, do we remember the things that they have produced, the paintings, the art, the papers, etc.? Certainly, yes, that is part of the story, but it is only part of the story. And when we come to the end of all the storytelling, we find that most of the remembering of the person centers on the experience of that person's mere presence with us. The time they have spent with us, the moments when it was just a loved one and ourselves together in a moment of here and now. And when I can grasp onto that, when I can really picture what the stories that will be told about me at the end on might look like in that light, I find I can begin to cease the shoulding of myself into misery. I can hold off the unwarranted demands of the world at bay just a little bit longer. In the great pause that has been this year, I have found myself constantly working to remind myself that the only thing I owe the world, despite its demands upon me, is the presence of my whole self in the here and now. Because we are not objects put here for use towards others' ends, but we are subjects in our own rights, subjects of our own stories. We are not products placed here for possession or consumption. You, your body, your mind, your soul, you are not a product. The contents of our whole beings, our talents, our passions, our souls, are not here merely to entertain others, to enlighten others, to fulfill the desires of others. We owe no one that loaf of bread, or that painting, or that novel. We owe nobody six-pack abs or a dissertation on Chaucer. Unless it is in the doing of these things that we come to find our own sense of the wholeness of our beings. We owe no one products of our beings unless it is in the doing of the thing that we can truly be here now. This third week of Advent we enter into today is traditionally focused on the idea of joy. And while the season asks us to focus on a more universal, shared joy as a community, I find myself here and now contemplating something much more personal. I am advocating this year for just a little bit of selfish joy on my own behalf and for you too, because I have become such a jealous guardian of my own joy in these last few months. The moments of them seem so few and so far between. But if I can be here now, if I can be present to the now, and find those moments of joy and mark where they happen, I come into a full presence and attention of that here and now. And when I can recognize those moments and see them for what they are and be in them fully, I find I have a greater chance of repeating those moments and becoming that much more present. And so in this season of new light and of new beginnings, I pray that we may find our own sense of presence and the strength to hold the shoulds of the world at bay just for a little while so that we can find a way to be here now and give to the world our joyful presence and attention, the fullness of our beings, ultimately the only product that matters. May it be so. Just a few announcements before we depart. First, if you are coming to us new for the first time through these video worships, I invite you to get to know us a little better through our website or by connecting with us on our Facebook page. You can find the links to those in the service notes below. And I would love to meet you as face-to-face as is possible. If you have questions and you would like a conversation with me, drop me an email. The address is below as well, and we can schedule some FaceTime or a phone conversation. I would love to help you get to know who we are. Secondly, we are preparing for our Christmas Eve video service. In the last couple of weeks, I have asked for you to submit selfies of you with vigil candles. If you can take a picture of yourself and submit it to me by Friday, the 18th of December, we will have a montage of us holding up our candles as Silent Night is sung at the end of the service. If you need a candle, we have LED vigil candles here at the church, and I can make arrangements to get you one. But we would love to see your faces in the service. It is one thing I'm going to miss dearly, and I would like to see you. Please get in touch with me if you have any questions about that or you would like to arrange to pick up a candle. We'll see you then.
Good morning, UUs. My name is Maura Taylor. I'm the Executive Director of Self-Help here in town, and many of you, of course, will know me because I'm also a lifelong UU who's been to this church many times, or you might know my dad, Tyler Taylor, who's also a member. I just wanted to pop in today to say thank you so much for making us the Share the Plate partner again this year for December, and to just kind of give you a little update on how things have been going this year at Self-Help. For anybody who isn't familiar, with Self-Help. We were formed in 1969, and we're a small nonprofit here in Los Alamos, and we help Los Alamos, Rio Arriba County, Taos County, northern Santa Fe County, wide swath of northern New Mexico, specifically helping people who are having trouble with basic needs, especially, which are things like housing, medical care, utilities, and we're sort of a bridge to self-reliance. So we help connect people with benefits and resources. We provide seed money grants to help them start a home business or go back to school. And we provide emergency aid for housing, utilities, medical care. And so it's been a very busy year for us, as you might imagine, and people are really struggling. Of course, all of us are honestly struggling during the pandemic. I wouldn't say it's been easy for anyone, and it's been especially hard for people who are already vulnerable, undocumented people and houseless people. And we've been doing a lot of work trying to keep people in their homes. At some point recently, 45% of New Mexicans were behind on rent. And we have an eviction moratorium in place, but a lot of landlords haven't been honoring it. So we've been really doing a lot of work trying to just keep people housed and warm in this winter of the pandemic. And it's been harder than usual. We haven't had as much access to some fundraising opportunities that we normally have. Most notably, Salvation Army bell ringing. A lot of people don't know this, but in Los Alamos County, we actually receive all of the proceeds from the bell ringing volunteers outside Smith's each year. That money goes to specifically helping Los Alamos County residents with basic needs. So we use the money to pay rent or utilities or pay for prescriptions for people. And it's actually a pretty big source of funding for us. It's about $20,000 that we would normally have that we won't have this year. So we are extra grateful for all the wonderful support that this congregation has given us this year. And we have so many wonderful donors in this congregation, including some Lanel donors who get the 50% triad match, which is awesome. We have volunteers in the congregation. We're just so grateful for all of you. And we're especially grateful to be the Share the Plate partner again in December. And I just wanted to share that the people that your funds go to help, they know that their neighbors are the ones supporting them, and that actually really means a lot to them. A lady told me last week we had helped pay for her child's insulin, and she said that she feels differently when she's at Smith's now shopping because she knows the person checking out next to her might be someone who helped pay for that insulin for her child. So that it just means so much to people, and it means so much to me to get to be the person who experiences that gratitude, and I want to share it with you as much as I can. So I guess that's really what I came here to tell you today, is that all of your support all year round really means the world to us and to the people that we serve. And I want to wish you the best and brightest holiday that the circumstances allow, and I hope I can see you all again in person sometime soon. Thanks.
Each December, our Sunday offering is dedicated to our friends and charitable partners at Self-Help Incorporated. Since 1969, Self-Help has been pooling the resources of our local churches to provide financial assistance to those in need in Los Alamos County, in Rio Arriba and Taos counties, and in northern Santa Fe as well. Please give as generously as you can. Use the link to our Givelify page below, or download the Givelify app onto your mobile device. The offering will now be accepted. May what you give bring you joy and into deeper relationship with this community. Friends, may life bless us and keep us. May the light of life shine upon us and out from within us and be gracious to us and bring us peace. For this is the day. This is the one wild and precious life we have been given. So let us all find a way to rejoice and be glad in it. Go in peace.